think about the scripture which says, behold, I do a what? Now, there's nothing new to do. This coming Sunday, you can go to any church. Any church. You can go to a Baptist church, Lutheran church, Presbyterian church, Anglican church, full gospel church, half gospel church, any kind of church. Anybody who's not us is half gospel, we know that. You go to any kind of church, this is what's going to happen. Doesn't matter which church you go to. It's going to start with some kind of music, processional, choir, praise and worship, something like that. Then after that, there'll be some kind of a prayer, meditation, humming, chanting, moment of silence, depends on where you're at, right? After that, there'll be some kind of announcements, total waste of time. No. You can gain 5 minutes in your service by cutting out the announcements. Nobody is listening. You can sing about it, dance about it, PowerPoint about it, e-blast it, website it. You can Instagram it, you can Facebook it, you can do everything. They're still going to call and say, what, that's 7 or... The only people listening to announcements are whose announcements you are making. And they get very upset if you don't make their announcement. Oh, there have been church splits over announcements. After announcements, there'll be some kind of an offering where we shake you down. So, when you walk in, we shake you in. During the sermon, we shake you up. During the offering, we shake you down. After service, we shake you out. So there's a whole lot of shaking going on, and so we do that, and then we will have some kind of a sermon, message, preaching, homily, teaching, something like that, talk. And then after that, we'll have some kind of conclusion, number 6. Is it not true? There's nothing. Now, so some people have moved the offering, for example, from number 2 or 3 to the end. And the reason you do that is because ain't nobody there in the first part of the service. So you say, we can wait. So the shakedown takes off a little later in the service. But there's really nothing new to do. So now we wear skinny jeans. The church I used to pastor up in Michigan years ago, I used to mow my lawn in a suit and tie. Some of you know those days. So now we have this kind of music, and some churches, lights and smoke, the Shekinah glory of God, and it's like what God has not wrought, I have bought. But there's really nothing new to do. So what does the Bible mean by saying, behold, I do a new thing? Our ministries have taken on different shapes and forms. But there's really nothing new to do. I get to travel all over the world. I'm in about 12 different countries a year, and I'm all over the place. Now I'm here to tell you, I'm in the largest of churches and smallest of churches. Ain't nobody doing anything new. There are some tweaks here and there, but there's nothing like, whoa, that's new. Who would have thunk? Nobody's doing that. So what does the Bible mean by, behold, I do a... I believe that in our day and time, it simply means not what you do, but how you think about what you do. Because how we think is where our thoughts lead us. So a little while ago, I had to say spot 3 times. I had you spell it 1 time, say spot 1 more time, and ask you a simple question. What do you do when you come to a green light? There are not that many lights in the whole of Nebraska anyhow. I counted, there were 5. And yet, we got stuck. I'm here to submit to you that we are not stuck in what we do. We are stuck in how we think about what we do. And so, I'm going to spend tonight, about 3 hours tonight, and then, you're listening, just checking to see. People wake up when you start talking about time, like, Hey, I've been driving all day. You know, you've had the Jesus thing enough. Can you just kind of, praise the Lord, move it along kind of thing? Because I've been in church all my life. Little background on how I got to Kearney, Nebraska. At the turn of the previous century, there was a famine going on in India. By now you figured out I'm not from West Nebraska. But you will find my people everywhere. We pump your gas for you. We make Dunkin' Donuts for you. We do your laundry for you. We do your software for you. When your computer goes down, we do tech support for you. What else do you want? The turn of the previous century in India, there was a famine going on, and my great-grandparents were Hindus. Famine, no food. So they went looking for food, and they ended up at a British missionary's compound. And they asked them for food. And the British missionary said to them, if you'll become a Christian, we'll give you some rice. So when you're dying, you really don't care, do you? So we Christians. There's some rice. Don't be down on them. Had they not given them some rice, I might not be here tonight. So thank God for them. And into that family was born my grandparents, and my grandfather became a woodcutter for them, and my grandmother became a cook for them. Into that family was born my father, Benjamin Matthew Chan, at the age of 32, single, not married, coming home, unsaved, coming home from work. As he was coming from work, on the street corner, there were two ladies with tambourines singing the old hymn of the church. There's power, power, wonder-working power. And how many of you remember that? Over these 2 days, can you all just break out into just two old songs for us old people? Just throw us a bone. Just throw us a bone. Doesn't have to have meat on the bone, just a bone. Just once in a while throw in something. What a friend we have in Jesus. Old rugged cross, amazing grace, victory. Just throw us a bone. Please. Do I have a witness on that one? Mm-hmm. So, they were singing there's power, power, wonder-working power. My dad had nowhere to go. He's single, no wife to report to. So, all four corners of the world, doesn't matter where you go, there will be a woman telling you what to do. And so, yeah. And so, he stood on the street corner while they sang. They testified, they preached. They gave an altar call. And on the street corner, my dad gave his life to the Lord, became a bona fide believer. After that little street service was over, these two ladies invited my father to their home. They said, we're having a prayer meeting tomorrow. Will you come to our... He didn't know what a prayer meeting was. So he said, sure. So he showed up at their home. Now there are three of them, the two ladies and my dad. The two ladies looked at my dad and said, Brother Chan, you are now our pastor. He said to them, oh, you don't understand. Don't go to church. Don't even own a Bible. They said to him, the Lord sent us here from another city. We told the Lord, the first man who's going to get saved in our ministry is going to be our pastor. Use it. Okay. How many of you remember those days right after you got saved? Before we got the Greek and the Hebrew and the 26 translation version Bible. Before we could Google what God really means. I mean, why pray when you can Google, right? I talk to Siri, what's God's will for my life? Go to Kearney. Is there somebody else out there? And so he said, okay, I'm your pastor. My dad died on January the 1st, 1991, after pastoring the same church for 49 years and starting dozens of churches all over North India. Couple Assembly of God people became good friends in our home. Mark and Halda Bantain used to come to our home all the time. Mark would come, I'd have to vacate my bed, and his feet always dangled at the end. He was a big guy, and then T.L. Osborne, he was pastor of the Assembly of God Church, the only two Pentecostal churches in town, ours, and T.L. Osborne across town. At that time, he didn't know that God had gifts in his hands. And so, my journey started way back there, and somehow I have to believe, let me say it another way, somehow I must believe that back there, God saw tonight that this is not an appointment, but this is an assignment. So, whatever I need to share with you might be good, might be terrible. I don't know. It's going to come out in a minute. I don't know. But my prayer is always the same. Can I just tell you what my prayer is? My prayer is always the same. Lord, it's not what comes out of my mouth, but what we sense on people's ears. How many preachers, can I talk to preachers for a minute? Somebody walked up to you after the service or 3 weeks later and said to you, when you were saying something that Sunday morning when you were preaching, and you know you never said it. But somehow the Holy Spirit has a transformer between my mouth and your ear. The important thing is not what comes out of my mouth. The important thing is what the Holy Spirit says to you in your heart. So I've been in church all my life. This year I'll be 65, and God's been good to me. But I have some conclusions about churches, and I'm going to talk about them tonight. Conclusion number one is church folk are crazy. Church folk will say and do stuff on Sunday they will never dream of doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They think they can walk up to you, give you a piece of their mind, and you feel like saying, hold on, that's the last piece you got. You didn't have that many pieces to start with. Yeah, let me break it down. I feel a religious spirit in this room. I got to fight that. Ain't nothing religious about me. I'm barely saved. Are there some folk in your church you just want to walk up to and slap? In Jesus' name. Come on, have some boldness about it. They're not here. Or they might be here. I don't know. That's why tomorrow change tables. Lose your people. Just lose your people. So you can have some fun. Otherwise, the party poopers at your table, you can't say nothing. They're there. It's like having your relatives at your table. I mean, what fun is that? Paul is writing to a crazy church. Corinthian church was a crazy church. I'm going to take your attention to 2 Corinthians chapter 12 in just a moment. 2 Corinthians chapter 12. In case you're wondering, it's 8 o'clock. I just know what time it is right now. That's all I know. By the way, thank you, Brother Bob, Sister Connie for inviting me, and Brother Rick for recommending me. Your stock will go high or low very quickly, depends on what I do tonight. So there's a lot riding on this, I know. I love Brother Bob's last name. I had dinner with him, and that's as close to wine as I'm going to get. So I want to have dinner, lunch, breakfast, everything with him, He used to be water before Jesus turned him. Oh, no. Never mind. His name used to be Bob Water. But when he met Jesus, he said, I changed Abraham's name. I changed Jacob's name. I changed Saul's name and your name. So Paul is writing, you all are distracting me tonight. I just need for you to know that. I had a heavy anointing on my life, and you all are just messing with that right now. So Paul is writing to the craziest church in the New Testament, the Corinthian church. I mean, if there was a messed up... In fact, let me tell you how messed up Corinthians were. In those days, if you wanted to cuss somebody, you called them a Corinthian. You would say, you Corinthian. Now you can go back home and call people Corinthians, they will think you're complimenting them. But you'll know what you're doing, right? That's Christian cussing. So it's legal. It's legal. It really is legal. It's in the Bible. There's 1 Corinthians and 2 Corinthians. So you Corinthian, you Corinthian. So Corinthians is a messed up church. I mean, this is where they're getting drunk at the Lord's Supper. This is where they are having competition as to who can speak more in tongues. This is where they are having a lineup of people who are prophesying. So 1 Corinthians chapter 14, he gives them the protocol of, hey, listen, 2, 3, and no more. Okay, you're number 5, sit down. Yeah, try that. Have a church split over that one. There's incest going on in this church. 2 Corinthians is really one of those painful books because so in 1 Corinthians, Paul makes them a promise, I'm going to come back. But he made an appointment with them, didn't show up. So now they're saying, what kind of apostle are you? Do you just say yes and no and yes? I mean, do you really tell the truth? So the first chapter of 2 Corinthians, the hermeneutic there, is that he is trying to validate himself. He's trying to tell them, hey, listen, do you think we say yea, yea, and nay, nay, but all the promises of God in him are amen? So the context of that verse is because he is being accused of lying and not keeping his promise. So Paul starts off by validating his apostleship. By the time he gets to chapter 12, he's ticked off. Have you ever had those conversations? I'll say this, he'll say that. And I'll say this, and he'll say that. If he says that, I'll have to slap him. So Paul is writing this letter, and he gets stronger and stronger, and then he comes to verse 15. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 15. I'm going to read this to you out of the Message Bible. It just says what it feels. This is what it says. I'd be most happy to empty my pockets, even mortgage my life for your good. So how does it happen that the more I love you, the less I am loved? So how Pastor Paul is saying to the Corinthian church, so how does it happen? How can it be? I am dumbfounded. I'm flabbergasted. You blow my mind. That the more I love you, the less I am loved. Have you not found that in your ministry? People you help the most will be the first to leave your church. People you counseled with, you bought groceries for them, you paid rent for them, you bailed out their kid out of jail at 3 in the morning. You did marriage counseling for them. I remember I had this couple who called me about 2 in the morning. They were fighting. 2 in the morning, members of my church. 2 in the morning. Pastor, can you come out here? They were 18 miles from me in the country. So I asked her a question. How long have you had this problem? Ever since we've been married? How long have you been married? 27 years? It can keep till the morning. Hang on to it. Keep fighting. I'll see you in the morning. So how can it be that the more I love you, the less I'm loved? Wouldn't it be good that we as pastors, as associate pastors, as leaders in the church could have some reciprocity? Could have a little bit of, I'm loving you, can I get a little love back from you? I'm encouraging you, can you encourage back? But how many of you know, at the end of the day, you got to figure out you're on your own. So, because I've been in church all my life and I used to pastor, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that tomorrow morning before the Lord delivered me and set me free early for good behavior. So, Some of you are going to do life. Brother Wine thought he was getting out of ministry when he stopped pastoring. He went from whatever frying pan into whatever else you want to call it. How does it go from the fire to the frying pan? I'm a foreigner, what do I know? So this is what I know about church. 10% of your church folk are demons. Devils. You know who they are? Absolutely you know who. They came to your mind right then. I mean, you got pictures, you got names in your head right now. At least 10%. Some of you are sitting here saying, only 10%? I'm more blessed than that. Half of my church are devils. And the other half I don't know about. So, it just depends on how many devils you want to handle. Okay, work with me. If you got a church of 10, how many devils do you have? One. If you got a church of 100, how many devils do you have? 10. Mm-hmm. Good math. Very good. I'm proud of you. Glad somebody passed math in this room. The rest of us became preachers. If you have a church of 200, how many devils do you have? 20. Work with me now. I know math is going higher here. If you have a church of 500, how many devils do you have? 50. Listen, if you can handle 20 devils, why would he trust you with 50 devils? Jeremiah says it this way. He says, if you cannot run with the footmen, what are you going to do when the horses show up? What are you going to do when those demons start percolating and they start creating that problem for you? In about 10 days' time, I'll be with a church in Manila, Philippines. Church of about 300,000. 62 locations. So how many demons does he have? And I want to ask that question. Well, how many demons do you think he has? 30,000. Is that the population of Kearney? Yeah. Not demon. Not everybody's demon here. I mean, that table over there probably. I don't know. I don't know them, but we'll see if they sing our song if they are or not. I have a friend in Atlanta, Nancy Rouse, Victory World Outreach. They got 136 countries that attend that church. I speak there about twice a year. They always have problems. You know what? You get 136 countries in a room, somebody's going to get offended by how you stand, what you do. You scratch this ear, that means something in Portuguese. I remember I was preaching in Brazil with an interpreter. And so I'm standing here, interpreter standing here, and I go like this. And what does this mean in America? Good job, right? Good stuff. So I go like this, and he's standing right there. He pulls on my sleeve. I've spoken all over the world. I've never been assaulted like that. I don't even know you, man, and I don't understand what you're saying. Why you're pulling on my sleeve? So I just thought maybe when they get excited or anointed or something good, they pull on people's sleeves. I thought that might be the Brazilian thing to do. So I went like this again. He pulled my sleeve again. So later on, we were in the room in the back. I said, man, why are you pulling on my sleeve? He says, don't do this. I said, why should I do this? He said, here it means you're doing something very nasty with somebody's mama. Uh-huh. Oh, is that right? That's what I was trying to tell him. Oh. So the challenge is, how much pain are you willing to handle? So I want to give you a couple things to write down. Here's a sentence to write down. You will grow only to the threshold of your pain. You will grow only to the threshold of your pain. Everyone together. 1, 2, 3. You will grow still writing, so you can't speak and write at the same time. So I get that. I know where I'm at. So here we go. I'm just playing with you. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. The more pain you can handle. Because if you're not bleeding, you're not leading. I call that bleedership. When God called you, He gave you a target. And now that you're in the ministry, you become the target. Somebody said, leadership is beautiful. It is brutal and beautiful. Because if you're not bleeding, you're not leading. So let me make sure that you got that one line. You will grow only to the threshold of your pain. Now, all of us make that decision in our life, unconsciously, but all of us make decisions in our life. I'm never going to let somebody else hurt me again. I will never do this again. First time, I was stupid. Next time, somebody's going to die. Listen, if you have not been homicidal, you've never preached. Listen, if you have a religious spirit, you're going to have a hard time with me. So just kind of build a bridge and get over it. So we make these unconscious decisions of how much pain we are willing to handle in our life. I'm going to give you 4 lines to write down. Line number 1. Growth equals change. Growth equals change. Line number 2. Change equals loss. Change equals loss. Line number 3. Loss equals pain. Loss equals pain. P as in Paul, A-I like earth. 4th line. Therefore, growth equals pain. We call it growing pains. Let's make sure we got the 4 lines. Line number 1 is what? Number 2? Number 3? Number 4? Growth equals pain. There is no growth without pain. Let's talk about some of those pains. And I have a list over here that I wrote down from my own life. You may not have experienced these pains. I actually have a list of 15. I'm going to talk about 4 or 5 of those. How about the pain of being misunderstood? Anybody here ever been misunderstood? I don't care how you write it out, put the comma in the right place, practice it. Doesn't matter what you do, you will be, shall be misunderstood. I don't care what you're doing. So if you live in the fear and pain of what if people misunderstand me, there's no if there. It's not what if people are It is people will misunderstand me. So am I going to say what I need to say, or I'm going to have to filter everything through the head of that one person? Because all conversation deteriorates to the lowest common denominator. All conversation filters down to the lowest common denominator. Give me an example. Let's look at this table here. High school. Kearney is associates, BA, MA, PhD. Say thank you. Should I go the other way around? So, high school, associates, BA, MA, PhD. And I'm their teacher. Somebody tell me whose level am I teaching at? High school. Every conversation will deteriorate to the level, the lowest common denominator. Let me give you some application in your churches. How many of you got church boards? Church boards. Can I see your hands? Church boards. Yeah. May the Lord deliver you one day. So church boards. So let's just say who do I want to use? Yeah, I'll use this one, but I'll use a bad example this time. Terry. So this is my church board. This is my church board. This is my church board. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those 4 people are positive, going somewhere. I start the sentence, they finish the sentence. I give a devotional, they say, I woke up with the same. They are positive, going somewhere. Terry, stick in the mud. Negative, pessimistic, ain't going nowhere. He's against everything. Negative, just negative. I'm the pastor. We're going to have a board meeting tonight. God's given me an idea, a vision, whatever you want to call it. I'm driving to church. We're going to have a board meeting. Somebody with great discernment and wisdom in this room, tell me who I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about who? And so what I will do is, everything that I'm going to do is not going to be filtered through the positive people. Everything I'm going to do is going to be filtered through the most negative person that I'm going to be with that evening. So I will take a God-sized vision and whittle it down to fit Terry. And so we work so hard at not being misunderstood. And I want to free up somebody. I'm not asking you to be stupid and arrogant and obnoxious. I am asking you to use some wisdom. But you can't keep yourself under this, in this straitjacket saying, oh, what if they misunderstand me? They will misunderstand you. If they misunderstood Jesus, who you think you are? Let me give you another pain. People leave in your church. I want to free you up. People come to leave. People come to leave. I made so many mistakes when I was pastoring. I destroyed the Church of Jesus Christ all by myself. The devil was taking notes on me. I was that good. I was absolutely that good. He brought his minions with him saying, see how Sam does it? I've made a gazillion mistakes. You all don't have enough time for me to tell you about my mistakes. I'll tell you one of my biggest mistakes. One of my biggest mistakes was talking somebody into staying who was planning on leaving. I had this friend. He was a really good friend. My wife and his wife and us, we used to do vacations together. And he was a big tither. And got me good raises. He was on my board. He was chairman of my Pastor Appreciation Day. Secret. They are not thinking of appreciating you, so you might as well have a Pastor Appreciation Committee. Set your own committee, get your own chairman, tell them what you want, encourage them, feed them, post them, do what you got to do. Why do you want to have a passive attitude towards it? Like, they know October is Pastor Appreciation. I know they're going to do something. No, they don't have you on their mind. Have yourself on your own mind. Do what David did. Encourage yourself in the Lord. Set up a committee saying, appreciate me next 15th. And this is what I need. So, in any case, have you noticed church folk don't take hints? They got to tell them. Same thing with your races, but I might talk about that tomorrow. So my friend came to me, and you know how they fix it. The Lord is leading me. If I was to ever pastor a church, heaven forbid, but if I was to ever pastor a church again, I'd give every new member a pencil. That way they can always feel led. And you know how folks fix it, right? My season is over. I'm going to go somewhere and help them. So I made that mistake, but I learned from it. After that, somebody came to me and started to say, Pastor, my wife and I have been praying, and you know where that train is going, right? I see the headlights of the train coming. And they start to sit down. I say, no, you sit down. Can I pray with you? I just hold that. I learned that. Oh, it's so good, so good. No, can you come up here just for a second? Yeah, just come over here. What's your name? Mark? Very good, very good. So Mark comes and, he's doing this. God told me we were praying. I said, Mark, can I pray with you? Lord, you brought Mark in here, and now you're going to take Mark out. And he's been a blessing. Wherever he goes, he's going to be a blessing wherever he goes. I bless him in Jesus' name. Love you, Mark. Go make it happen. Now, somebody tell me, what was Mark expecting me to do? Beg him to stay. Oh, no, don't let the door hit you. Have you not noticed? I'm having fun. I don't know about you, but I'm having a good time. So, it's not about you, it's all about me. So, have you not noticed that the Sunday when a big tither leaves the church, that very Sunday the offerings go up? That's good news. The bad news is that's the only Sunday. Because God is looking down and saying, okay, Mark is not your source, I'm your source, so God makes up for that. But the Sunday after Mark's second Sunday, you better hustle. The pain of people leaving. I get to talk to pastors with 8, 10 people in the church. In December, I just preached at a church for the midweek service, and there were 17 people. I had a great time. I don't know about them. I had a great time. This is what I found. I don't care if you've got 10 people in your church, or you've got 10,000 in your church. A pastor's heart always hurts. It is amazing. Pastor said to me, Pastor, 10,000 church members said, we had 8 families leave us. I feel like saying, what do you care? 10,000 people, 8 families leave. Not even a blip on the screen. Oh, man, it hurts. You can never stop allowing people to hurt you. Think about an onion. Onion's got many layers to it. But the sweetest part of the onion is where? On the inside, right? And you know how it happens is, we start off sweet, but then life happens. Somebody walks on our spirit. Somebody slaps us. Somebody betrays us. Somebody takes people from our church down the street and start another new work. Somebody sows discord, and we build layers and layers. And then we start saying, I will never allow anybody to hurt me anymore. And I want to say to you that the moment people cannot hurt you is the moment you disqualify yourself from the ministry. I'm going to say that again. The moment people cannot hurt you anymore, the moment you become insulated, the moment you become Teflon, the moment you've got that everything that slips right off you, and you become that onion, and you say, they're going to come this close and no closer, is the moment you disqualify yourself from ministry. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but I can raise my hand on the question I'm about to ask. How many of us know between the sunrise this morning and sunset this evening, somehow we have disappointed our Lord? In omission, in attitude, in thoughts, in actions, somehow or the other. And yet, are you not glad that His mercies are new every morning? Had it not been for His grace, none of us would be here. I have no stones to throw at anybody. I got enough of my own mess to worry about other people's mess. The pain. How about the pain of obscurity when nobody knows you're even alive? I pastored one of those churches in Michigan. I'll tell you more about that tomorrow. Nobody even cares. You go to conference. I went to my fellowship's conference, and nobody knew who Sam Chan was. Sam Chan didn't know who he was. I could walk through the whole crowd, and everybody would be talking among their circles. Somebody might say, "Hey." You just want to say, "Do you know? Is this a shadow walking past you? Can you shake my hand? You have thorns on my hands." The obscurity. Does anybody know I exist? Does anybody care? Does anybody care for me? Not because I'm a pastor. If I was not a pastor of my church and I missed 2 Sundays, would anybody give a rip? Would anybody pick up the phone and call me? If I was just Joe Blow or Susie Q and didn't have any place in the church, just went to church, who cares for me? We call that the existential angst. What about me as a human being? Otherwise, what you do is you give me respect because I'm the pastor. You give me respect because I'm the assistant pastor. You give me respect because I'm the worship leader. You give me respect because of my position. But position is not who I am, it's what I do. Who I am is Sam Chan, who is just like everybody else, who wants to be loved, who wants to be accepted, who wants to be respected, who wants to make a difference. Just like everybody else, same needs. So what do you do when the pain gets so loud that you can't hear God anymore? What do you do when the pain is so excruciating? I want to show you how sometimes what God says to us, how we interpret what God says to us, and what God really means for us can be very different. Romans chapter 15. Romans chapter 15. Romans chapter 15. I'll show you a text there in just a moment. Romans chapter 15. Let me just do a minute's hermeneutic on that. Background on Romans. You know Romans is written by Paul. Paul is writing the book of Romans to the church in Rome, to the Roman believers. The story behind that is Paul has never been to Rome. He's planning on going to Rome. So he's writing this letter introducing himself to the Roman church. He is telling them, that's why it's the theological treatise. In Romans, he's telling them, this is what I believe about grace. This is what I believe about the creation. This is what I believe about old man and new man. This is what I believe about the sovereignty of God. For in chapter 8:28, for all things work together for the good of those. So it's a theological treatise, but he's never been to Rome. He's planning on going to Rome. So this is a precursor to his plan, to his going. It's an introductory letter. It's a self-introduction to the Roman church. Towards the end of that, in the second last chapter of Romans, which is 15, he says this to them, verse 32. He says to the Roman church that I may come unto you with joy by the will of God, and may with you be refreshed. Let's look at the text again. That I may come unto you, how? With joy. Everyone said with joy. By the what? Will of God. And may with you be what? Refreshed. 3 things. Paul is writing to them and saying, my plan is to come to you how? With joy. According to the will of God. And when we get there, we'll all be refreshed. That was Paul's plan. But how many of you know that didn't work out like that? In chapter 22 of the book of Acts, he's arrested. Through a series of chapters, he makes appeal to Agrippa, and Agrippa to Caesar. In Acts chapter 27, he's on a boat with 276 other passengers, all prisoners. A storm hits them. Now remember, the boat is taking him to Rome, but he's not going there with joy. You following this? God, is this your will? And he says, when I get there, we'll all be refreshed. They are prisoners. A storm hits them. You know the story. A storm hits them. They're shipwrecked on an island, Melita. Here we are in Acts chapter 28 now. They're on the island, Melita, and Paul is picking up sticks so people can have a fire and warmth and come out of the rain and the storm that they have been part of. And then a snake bites him. Snakes are still biting in churches. Two-legged snakes. Notice what Paul does not do with that two-legged snake. He does not counsel the snake. He does not pray with the snake. He does not start a snake small group. What did he do? Everyone go like this. Everyone go like this. Go like this. Just whoever's coming to your mind. Whoever's coming to your mind. Make the fire hot. And do what? Just shake it off. It's interesting what happens. I'm getting sidetracked right now, but it's interesting what happens. The non-Jewish people on the island of Melita, when he gets bit by the snake, they say, he's a murderer. Because destiny was going to make sure that he doesn't get away. He's a murderer. But Dr. Luke gives us the symptoms. And he says, in the text it says, when he should have swollen up. Only Dr. Luke would know that when the snake bites you, you swell up. And nothing happened to him. It says they watched him for a long time. And now they say he's a god. He was a murderer. Same verse. He's a god. Preachers, that's how your church is. One Sunday, you're a god. Next Sunday, you ain't no good. You only as good as last Sunday's sermon. Nobody remembers when God moved in 1928. You remember that, they don't. In chapter 28, the book of Acts does not end with Paul the preacher. The book of Acts ends Paul the prisoner. Back to Romans. That I may come to you with what? Joy. According to so that we may all be refreshed. Those things didn't happen. But dearly beloved, this is what did happen. He did get to Rome. I've got a word for you tonight. If God promised you Rome, you are going to Rome. It doesn't matter how many shipwrecks you have, you are going to Rome. Doesn't matter if you're imprisoned, you are still going to Rome. Doesn't matter what people say about you, you're still going to Rome. Doesn't matter what's happening at your church, you've got to know if God has made you a promise, He's a faithful promise keeper. He who said, He who called you, He who chose you, He who pulled you out, He's got promises for you. And you're still going to Rome. Doesn't matter what's going on. You got to know God has made me a promise. And I will not let this distract me, or that disappoint me, or that take away my joy, or that take away my hope. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and His righteousness. If He made you a promise, I am going to Rome. So when Paul was shipwrecked, he knew he was going to Rome. When he was picking up sticks, he knew he was going to Rome. When the snake bit him, he knew he was going to Rome. So you may not get to Rome like you thought you might. Your church might not do what you think it should have. Your ministry might not do what you pictured. It might be just like Paul pictured how he was going to get to Rome. But the important thing is not how you get there. The important thing is that you get there. I don't know what's going on in your life tonight. But one thing I do know, that if you're going through that painful time in your life, God's got encouragement for you tonight. You didn't come here just to hear a preacher rant and rave. You didn't come here just to sit around round tables and suck air and occupy space. You came here because you had an appointment with God Himself. And He knows what you brought with you. I've been going to preacher conferences now for 60-some years. More lies are told at preacher conferences. And I've lied a lot too. You meet each other out there and, how you doing? Man, I'm blessed. No, you're not. You're dying. Oh, God is moving. But you just came out of a Sunday in which people were not there, money was not there, God was not there, nobody was there. Even your wife was not there. But whenever we get together, I think the greatest thing that happens is when we say, God, I'm going to be honest with me. Because before you can be honest with somebody else, you've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to be vulnerable with yourself. Say, God, you promised me Rome. It ain't working out like I thought it should. I've been at the church for 17 years. The only one who's still here is me. Lord, I thought that by now my ministry would be here. But nobody even knows I exist. And you're going through that time in your life. I need for you to know the good news is you're still going through. And that is why you have to remind yourself, man did not make you that promise. God made you a promise. And His promises are always yea and amen. So Lord, I thank you for tonight and reminding us that if you promised us